Hey guys, Constance here from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So as you can see, I am not home right now. I've mentioned this place before, I've shared about it on Instagram, and I've been wanting to share this place with you. It is the Mercantile, the Ashley Mercantile that I come to in Cullman, Alabama. It's about 20-25 minutes or so from where I live, and the owner has agreed to do a little bit of an interview and just share about this fantastic place. And it's one of those places I've got to come here pretty much every time I come to Cullman, and I'm not exaggerating. I'll come in just to smell it in here because it smells amazing. So I'm going to introduce you to the owner, and there is a little bit of background noise. There's some repaving happening out on the road here, and there's a very active train track right behind the store, so you may hear a train as well. So let me introduce you to...
Hey guys, how are y'all? So my name is Ryan Ashley, and I am, as Miss Constance said, I am the owner here at Ashley Mercantile, and it's just a cool place that we like to call home and work, and don't really work, so get to hang out with a lot of cool people and make sure they get good gifts. And we're really blessed with all of the things that we're able to offer our customers when they come in, and it's just, I don't know, it's very unique.
It is.
So yep.
So tell me how you got started doing the Mercantile.
So we were out of town at my sister's graduation. She was graduating. She has an accounting major, and so whole family was there. Went and ate, and I said, hey, there's a cool store that I know about, the Floors Creek. You know, they sell bologna sandwiches and nails, you know, like to do carpentry with. They do everything. And so we went in, and they had the enamelware that we carry, that's really popular in there. Had some pieces, and my grandmothers came to me and said, Ryan, we would do anything to have, you know, stuff like this that our grandmothers had, like this. And they actually, I don't think I have the brownie pan in stock at the moment, or out.
You got a loaf pan.
There's a loaf pan, and it's very similar to this, so it's just super old school. It may be up there, I'm not sure, but that may be an open roaster. But so they said, hey, we would do anything to have this, and we'd love to have had our grandmother stuff. So I checked into it. At the time, I still worked for Mom and Dad at our drug company, and they have a small gift area in the storefront. And so I called, lined it up, made sure that we were the only people in Cullman that could carry it, and we rocked and rolled and sold stuff out of there. And I told them, I said, you know, my dream one day to have a standalone store. We put this stuff in, have a lot of cool stuff, because that day my mom said, you know, she was there with me, she said, hey, we could do something like this store, but we can make it better. And so for the next 18 months, we acted like we had money to burn, you know, and really didn't, but we acted like we did. We traveled a lot and went places, looked at stuff, and then, you know, made notes, put them in piles of heck yes, maybe later, heck no, or a different location. And just, I'm a numbers guy, so I like having my spreadsheets, and if it don't make sense numbers wise, it don't make sense. No matter how cool it is. So and some of the stuff I did for Mom and Dad with our drug company, we had people that would have charge accounts in the store. It's a mom and pop pharmacy. And so I got really good at finding people that didn't want to be found sometimes when they didn't want to be current on their account. So it was that much easier when people didn't mind to be found. You know, they didn't care to be found. And so we find people who do stuff that maybe don't have a huge Facebook following or Instagram or website, but we still do our due diligence, whether it's combing the internet, you know, looking through festivals, going to festivals, and you know, we may go out of state for a weekend to look for some stuff, may find nothing, you know, or we may wish we'd have come, you know, with a trailer, because I've done that before, where we've, you know, bought all the pieces. Like this piece here is that all enamelware on, the top half of it is over 100 years old, and so she's pretty big. She's about 10 foot tall, and she's right at 18, I think 18 foot long. So you don't really realize how big the pieces are until you get in here and you're standing right up against it. And so we've slowly found other pieces to display with in the store to kind of give it that old school kind of general store look. And that's what we wanted. We want people to come in and it be an experience. We want them to hear smell and, you know, just take it all in. And because, I mean, it is, we feel like something that will take you back to a time when it was a lot more simpler and there's a lot less going on and a lot less clutter. And I like stuff like that. I don't mind, you know, being in the public and talking and carrying on conversations with people. That's what I did at the drugstore with Dad for so long. And, but then at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy on my 32 acres at the end of a dead-end road, you know, and the neighbors are 1,000 foot away. So
that's how I am. You know, I do a lot of public stuff, but then I'm happy to just go home and get away from it all. And I gotta have that balance.
So it is nice, but so we try to have a little bit for everybody in the store, whether it's, you know, the enamelware for ladies, and, you know, we cater to a lot of what ladies would like to see, what they buy. I mean, they pay my bills, but we still try to make sure we find cool stuff for guys. And whether it's, you know, the handmade knives or the tomahawks that are hand forged or the leather goods. And then we also have like old school shaving kits that you know, the handles are wood and they're hand turned here in Cullman, so I'll show you all that. And so in this section we have a lot of the guy stuff, whether it's cologne or leather goods from some of our local guys like the valets and whatnot. But you also have all your hygiene stuff here. We have like our shaving three-piece shaving kit here. So you got an old school badger hair brush here, real badger hair, not synthetic. And then you have the safety razors. The wood handles are all hand turned here in Cullman. It's something that we like to offer some of our local makers and whatnot. And we're really tickled that we have so many people, one here in Cullman that do stuff, and then around the state also. You know, most people just think we're fat and can't read because we're from Alabama, but there's a lot of people who do cool stuff here. So it's always neat to see how proud people are of what they can do. And then also we try to let people know when they come in, specifically stuff that's from Alabama first and foremost. We have little blocks around the store that say Alabama made, so it gives people a heads up on, hey, if we can't get to you, and if we can't, you know, if there's so many people in here we can't get to you, kind of looks like Mississippi in the screen, but trust me, it's Alabama. But and that way they can have a heads up to know, hey, these are some of the local goods and whatnot. So, but yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
And there's also a really cute kids section back here. And I have a good friend who had a baby last year, and this was the first place I came to look for something for her baby shower. So you guys see some of these things. Oh, and of course, whiskey.
So we do have a lady here in the state who does hand etched glassware for us, and our most popular item is the low ball, and so you can see that it's got the state on there, and it is hand etched. It's dishwasher safe. We sell a lot of the low balls, and then we sell the decanter sets, and especially this time of year, people like that. And we'll have some things that you can put with it, some of the whiskey stones, you know, if you're drinking a nicer bourbon and you don't really want to put ice in it to water that down, because in my opinion, you're not paying for watered down bourbon. So if you're going to spend the money, you might as well get what you paid for. And so that's some of the things that are back here, and it's very nice, and she does a very, very good job for us. But we'll kind of slide on back here to the kids section. And so back here, kind of expanded, and we're getting ready to add some more shelves here pretty soon for some more toys. All the toys back here require no batteries. We have lots of things that make kids engage and play and have to imagine. We have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old now, and so we want them to have to put forth that effort and be creative. And whether it's paper dolls or let's pretend play, a lot of stuff like that. We also like to have the puzzles and the memory games, and some of the old school toys like your toy soldiers and your paratroopers and stuff like that. And it really, I don't know, we did this one time where we put the iPad out here on the table and we put toys. They watched it for a minute, the iPad, and then the toys kind of, you know, they still gravitate to it if you give them an option, I think, and they're not too far engrossed in that habit of thumbing and you know, just new stimuli.
Yeah.
You know, because it starts to affect how long they can pay attention to something.
Yeah.
Because they're always looking for constant stimuli.
Yeah.
And so
how the brain processes
exactly.
things, too.
And then we also have some toys that are made here in the United States. It's a pretty cool brand we like because it's made out of recycled milk jugs and plastics, and the entire line is dishwasher safe. So if you have some of the bath toys, you know, you can take them apart completely and then put them in the dishwasher and sanitize it. And then even some of the tea sets and stuff like that, there's some down here on the bottom, they're actually food grade. So if you got a little chick and, you know, she's wanting to serve tea, then she can. Because with my little girl, we do that, and it's fun seeing a bunch of really bearded guys sitting around with their pinkies out, you know. So, but other than that, just, you know, try to have a good offering for people and find stuff that's not necessarily everywhere.
Right.
So we want them to come here for our stuff.
Yeah.
In the case, we have truffles and turtles. Turtles, or a turtle is actually trademarked the term. So the people we buy our stuff from, they call them brags. And still the same thing. We kind of took a chance on this when we first opened. Before we actually opened, we actually ordered the case because it's all custom made. And so it took like 6-8 weeks. We were actually open, didn't have it yet, and then we got it in, had to do all the stuff for the health department, and the first day we were actually able to sell it was Black Friday 2018. And so it was not a cheap investment. I kind of regretted it after the first payment, and then I was really regretting it after I paid the second payment, or the final payment, and paid for freight. And I was kind of like, what have you done, Ryan? You know, this is a lot of money to wrap up in the case, and really that's what a lot of the money was. But that Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving, I think we sold about 400 truffles.
Oh, wow.
Those 2 days, somewhere right around there. It might have been like 375, but it was close to 400. And we went from, man, I really wish I wouldn't have bought this case, to, man, I really wish I wouldn't have bought the 4-foot case. I'd have bought the 8-foot case.
Oh, wow.
So, but you have a lot of really good stuff in here. The wedding cake and the salted caramel. Those are probably our two best sellers. So they're all handmade. They're made in Texas. And then once it sets up, then they ship it to us like second day air. And during the summertime, it comes in with packs, right, to keep it cool.
This is the South.
Exactly. And so then we have to let it set out for 24 hours to reacclimate back to the temperature. And the case is humidity and temperature controlled. So in the case, the pieces that have nuts on them will last a year, and then the pieces that don't have any nuts on them will last a year and a half from the day. So there's quite a big shelf life on it. So a lot of people don't realize that, but that kind of alleviated a little bit of the stress of buying this stuff. So we had such a long time to sell, but it never sits here. We've got boxes of back stock because we know Christmas is coming, and they'll be so busy that we couldn't get stuff within, it'll be a month before we can get it in. So we kind of bought a little heavy this time, and just pray to God everybody shows up. So.
Yeah. All right, so over in here is another, they've got all of these beautiful units, these shelving, what do you even call these, in cases?
This come out of a this piece, and there's one on the opposite side of the room that came out of the same storefront up in Tennessee, an old general store. We were able to pull these out, and these are over 120 years old.
I would love to have one of these in my house.
We just seen some of the guys when we're moving stuff around, and we got to take some stuff apart. Everybody puts their tools and hammers down. Nobody wants to touch it because everybody knows how old this stuff is. Yeah. And they're like, well, you can hit on that with a hammer. I'm not touching it. And so, and that's what we tried to do. We tried to find stuff that is old and that is still good and, like, you know, still solid. And so, like on the big green piece, the bottom section of it had water damage, so it wasn't any good. And I had a guy that lives here in Cullman that can make stuff that look time appropriate, and he takes old wood and he, you know, reuses it. Right. And so that piece there is a new piece that I had commissioned him for, and he does a phenomenal job on making stuff for us. There's a lot of custom stuff for us, from our front doors to some of our wrapping stations, and there's not much he can't do. But back here we have some of our candles. These candles are from South Alabama. Southern Cornbread is our best-selling candle in this line. It's more of a buttery scent, and so it's really, really nice. A lot of people like that, and there's a lot of seasonal scents right now with Christmas and fall. He has cool stuff, like I said, Southern Cornbread, pipe tobacco, vintage leather. There's even a bonfire one that smells like a campfire, but all I think of is, because I'm from the country, I think of burning leaves, all the smoke and everything, and it's just not my cup of tea. Some people really like it. There's a lot of other neat stuff that he does. He hand pours all his, and then he also mixes his oils. So that's where you kind of get some of the uniqueness of his stuff. And then he has a couple of tricks to kind of up the amount of scent he can put in a candle, so that way it really, you know, kind of resonates throughout the room that you're in. We have a lot of people who tell us, hey, I don't even light the candle, I just set it out. And so that's pretty cool, and he does a really good job for us. And like I said, we're really blessed at the amount of people who do stuff and we've come in contact with.
You've got another type of candle over on the other side. Let's go show them those too.
So these candles down here are from Charleston, South Carolina. They're called Rewind. They're poured in repurposed wine and champagne bottles, and each one of these candles smells like a specific wine or champagne. So this is really popular with our ladies. They have a saying for their #1 candle, it's rosé. It's right here, and it's rosé all day, and they swear up and down by that. But there's a lot of really nice stuff. One of my favorites is a spiked cider, and it just, to me, it smells like Christmas in a candle. And if I could drink that, I would, because it smells that good.
I like the hot toddy one.
Yeah, and there's a couple of them, and I've got one left over. Like, this is from earlier this year, but the pina colada smells really good too. And they do all kinds of, like, you know, mixed drink kind of smells and whatnot. But you'll have anything from champagne, a Chardonnay, to a Bellini. And then you have your Riesling and your Sangria. So there's a good representation of all the different wines that they offer, and so it does well, and it gives people a different option. You know, if you've got someone in your family who really likes rosé, you know, and sometimes you'll have guys that really like stuff like that. Like my brother-in-law, he really likes candles, and he's gonna kill me if he sees this.
Well, my son loves candles.
Yeah, I mean,
so he's like, I have like a shelf in my kitchen that where my dishwasher used to be.
Yeah.
And one shelf under there is like where I keep all my candles. We constantly raid.
I mean, I don't mind, you know, nicer things in life. So I don't have any problem with going and doing stuff and experiencing stuff. So, you know, sense of smell is really something that can make things for you more memorable. And so,
oh yeah.
And so
the part of the brain that processes scent, this is something that I learned several years ago. It is the part of the brain that processes scent is most closely related to emotional memory.
Oh yeah.
And you can see that.
Like you say that. So the candles over there that we were just at, the guy who does like pipe tobacco.
Yep.
We were in here like the first week in 2018, and this lady was back here, and I was kind of walking her through the store, kind of like what I'm doing with y'all, you know, because one of the stores brand new, and two, she'd never been in, and so she's picking up the cloches and smelling, and she gets to this one, and she smells it, and you can tell it kind of startled her, and I noticed from a little bit, I was not right with her like I am with y'all, but she just started crying. I mean, like, you could just see them running. I mean, like, and so I kind of got a little closer. I was like, hey, are you okay? Everything all right? She's like, well, this candle makes me think of my pawpaw. I said, okay. She said, that's the first time I smelled him in 17 years because he died 17 years ago. And I was like, well, I'll be up front crying too, so you leave me alone, and just walk off, you know? And so, but to her, you know, it took her back to a place in time where things were a lot better for her, maybe. Compared to where she's at right now, because she doesn't have her pawpaw. And so we're really blessed in our family. I've still got all mine and my grandma's, and so family is really important to us, and so it I can understand that. So but yeah.
My aunt and uncle brought me a whole box of my grandmother's cookbooks
Oh wow.
about a year and a half ago, I think, maybe 2 years ago. and I didn't know they were bringing them to me. And they brought them, and I opened up the first one, and as soon as I opened it, I smelled my grandma's house, and I was just, I was a wreck.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm not a crier, but I was a wreck.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it does affect you that way.
And that's cool when you say grandma's house, because before we opened, we tried to be mindful of what kind of environment we wanted to create here. And so I tried to make sure we went with the yellow light, somewhere that's warm and somewhere you always want to go back to. And I said, we need to figure out how to capture that. Someplace that's warm. As soon as you leave, you can't wait to go back. I said, where is that? And they were like, I don't know what you're talking about right now. I'm like, it's your grandma's house. You just want to go back because you know you're safe. She's going to take care of you. And it's just going to be a good time. Well, we want people to come in, not sort of saying that we live in a bad part of town or anything, but you know, it's quote unquote safe in here. There's nothing going on, and we do live in an awesome town in Cullman, and it's predominantly just, you don't have a lot of ruckus or nothing. And so people come in, we want to make sure that they know that they're going to be taken care of. And I tell the girls, you know, that if we take care of people like we would take care of if our mama walked in here and she'd never been in here, and we're confident in all the products and how happy and proud we are of what we have here, and we could show her that, that's how we take care of everybody else, and we'll be fine. We're not going to chase a dollar. I won't do that, but I will take care of people. And I think people can see that we're genuine with our time, and we're really ecstatic that you're in here. And so, you know, maybe that's what sets us apart, but so...
Well, that's why I have to come here every time you come home.
So we try, and, you know, and so it's worked out well so far for us. So, yeah.
So, and you have Redland cotton.
I do.
That you can order. Let's walk over there.
Yep. Really cool thing about Redland cotton is all the cotton is grown here in Alabama, and there's a family who has tons of cotton fields in Moulton, Alabama, and the surrounding area. And so, like I said, all the cotton is grown here, and it is woven, spun, sewn in the southeast, and then it is shipped out of their store in Moulton. They have a family friend who had some sheets or linens that were from the 1920s, and so they got those sheets, and they reverse engineered what we have today in front of us from that original set. And to my knowledge, the set of sheets are still being used to this day. Could be completely wrong on that, but that's my understanding.
Well, I mean, I've got sheets that were my grandmother's, and I still have them.
But people back then, people made stuff to different quality.
Last.
Because people couldn't afford to buy sheets every year, every 2 years, every 5 years, and so these sheets, there's some couple tricks that they tell us and stuff that will prolong the life of the sheet. And so, you know, if you can line dry these, that's the perfect thing in a perfect world. But today people are so busy, and you just don't have time for that, or you're not home or whatnot. So what we do is we throw the sheets by themselves in the washer. It gets done, then we throw them in the dryer by themselves, and we do that for 20 minutes. We check them and see if they're still a touch damp, and if they are, then they're ready to go. We'll put the flat sheet, or the fitted sheet, we'll put the fitted sheet on the bed and turn your ceiling fan on in the room, and in essence it really air dries then. And so that way you're not damaging the fibers of the sheets, because drying the sheets is not the issue, it's over drying.
Cullman is having a Christmas event this week, isn't it?
This weekend it'll be Friday, Saturday, and it's the only Sunday of the year that we're open. We're open 1 to 5 on Sunday, and then Friday and Saturday we'll be open 10 to 6, and it's Christmas in Cullman. And so it's just to kind of kick off, you know, the kind of Christmas shopping season. Generally it's the second full weekend in November, and it's a fun time. I mean, we're not fully decorated for Christmas. We've kind of started doing some things, but we're going to finish that out this week. And it's, I don't know, I love this time of year. One, because people are picking out gifts in here, and you can see how excited they are to know that whoever they're giving this to should be happy. And it was neat that first Christmas on social media to see our flat black wrapping paper with our satin, you know, hand-tied bow, and then our bags. All our bags are hand stamped. They're not perfect. They're not meant to be perfect. I want y'all to know that we put effort with our hands, and that we do stuff kind of an old school way. and that's the reason our logo and stuff is black and white. I like it clean and simple, and it's neat to hear people say, well, I went to a party this weekend and everybody's fighting over that bag. So,
Nice.
you know, it still blows my mind that people think that much of whatever's in that bag, like they don't know.
Yeah.
They just know it came from here and it's going to be good stuff. And
Yeah.
so it's still pretty wild. So
Yeah. Well, I love it. And I mean, you guys, obviously you're going to know this is why I come here all the time. This is why this is one of my favorite places in Alabama. And, you know, I had a bunch of people when I mentioned this place the other day when I did my little, I don't know if you saw it. I know you're not big on social media yourself. I mentioned stuff that I had picked up at the Mercantile, did my little haul video, and shared a little bit about you guys. And I had people wanting to know what's there to do in Cullman. I'm going there to that Mercantile.
well, the cool thing is, you know, I've lived here all my life, and I live right outside of town, about 10 minutes to the east. And you know, for a long time, Cullman was kind of the butt of a lot of jokes, you know, kind of redneck and all this kind of stuff because we're right on Interstate 65 between Birmingham and Huntsville. So if you're in the north and you're going to the beach, you're coming through Cullman. And so in the past 5 to 10 years, we have a really nice lake here in Cullman County. It's called Smith Lake. It's like one of the top 5 cleanest freshwater lakes in the nation or something like that. And so they're known for that. And there's people building houses and all kinds of stuff down there. So our demographics are changing a little bit because people go to the lake on the weekend, they come into town on the weekend to shop and everything. But then last year in 2019, it came out in a publication that Cullman was the number 7 micropolitan in the nation.
Really?
Based off of housing, jobs, schools, and crime rate being low. And we were all like, shh, no, don't be telling nobody that. You don't be telling nobody
Don't
that.
mess up a good thing.
Don't be telling that. Because we were all kind of bummed out when we got a second Walmart on the north end of town. You know, so it's a very unique place, and you hate to say it's in a bubble, but it's very nice because if you want to go do something, you can. You're from 45 minutes from Birmingham or Huntsville, and you know that's just another 45 minutes you can talk with whoever you're going out to eat with if you want something quote unquote really nice, but the restaurants are starting to show up here that are nicer and that you're going to actually, you know, you're going to pay for what you get. And so there's a new one in town that's just opened up, and a soft opening this past weekend. And so we got to go to the soft opening.
What's it called?
Ledger's. It's out at Stonebridge Farms. So it is, it's a chef that's from Birmingham, is now partners with the owner of Stonebridge, and he is originally from here, the chef is, and so he wanted to come back home, and we had some of the things on the menu this past weekend, and it was very, very good. So it's nice to not have to drive, but there's a lot of stuff to do here in Cullman, I feel like, because it's a German town. It's a lot of Catholic heritage here also. There's St. Bernard, the Ave NE grotto is out there. And that's a replica of Jerusalem. It was handmade, hand-built. And then you also have the Shrine of the Most Sacred Blessedment down on the south end of the county. And there's people that come from all over the nation and the world to see that thing. And so it's nice. And so there's shopping on the block that we're on, bakery. And so, you know, you can get here and you can have your breakfast, you know, and then you can go shopping. Most of the shops open at 10. And so they stay open until 5 or 6 in the afternoon. And so it's neat. I don't know. And so you're in a good location because you're 5 hours from the beach, you're 5 hours from the mountains, 2 hours from Nashville. I mean, it's hard to beat. I mean, it really is. Because the interstate's right here. You can buzz around and make...
it's quick to get where you want to be, but still get away from everything.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of food,
So
skillets.
I was really nervous about bringing this line in, to be honest with you, because we like to tell people that 65% of the store is going to be $35 or less, because we want people to shop. We don't want y'all to wait until it's your birthday or an anniversary or someone you know's birthday or anniversary or a big occasion, a housewarming. And I don't want to come off as that store because it's not that much fun in here by myself. And so I like when there's a lot of people in here. And so we really strive to make sure we keep our price points as reasonable as possible. So Smithy Cast Iron is made in Charleston, South Carolina. It's made here in the United States, and it is really, really, really pretty.
It is beautiful.
And small batch. And so on the inside, it's made the way they made cast iron over 100 years ago. It's smooth to the touch, so you're already starting out with a smooth surface, which will enhance that non-stick aspect of cast iron. They're pre-seasoned. They'll start out like this, and that sheen is from how they season it. They hand and machine polish it before it leaves. I will say this though, the more you use it, the less it's going to look like that, because we have 2 pieces of Smithy cast iron at home. Ours don't look like that because we use them every day, and it will eventually patina to that handle color, which is going to be that darker color. They have a pretty wide offering of pieces, from an 8-inch chef skillet, which is rounded, up to a double-handled 14-inch traditional skillet. They have a Dutch oven, and then something that they came out with, might have been in 2018, right before Christmas. They have these pieces here, and so these are carbon steel. This is all hand hammered by a blacksmith, so this is a limited run of items that you can get, so it takes longer for them to make. And this is their Farmhouse skillet. You're going to get a very comparable cooking experience as you would with cast iron. It's going to be non-stick. You still have to season it. But the cool thing is, like my mom, she's not a big person. She's maybe 5 foot. This number 12-inch skillet is 60% of the weight of that traditional cast iron skillet. So like I myself could not hold that number 12 out like this. It's just too heavy in the...
Start getting that muscle failure.
Yeah, quickly. So they have the Farmhouse skillet, and then they also came out with an open roaster that we have here. It's not gonna be something that's a cheap investment, but you know, we're so conditioned to buy more or less cheap crap nowadays, and you buy it over and over and over again. And that's how the companies nowadays make their money. You know, I mean, they want to get as many turns in just like I do, but you're sacrificing that quality of the product. But
and
on this,
personally myself, when I buy something and it's not going to last, I'm not buying that again. I'm going to go to their competitor.
That's right.
So to me, it's counterproductive in my mind.
Sure. But a lot of times people don't have that thought process. But we try to have that thought process, because once you get past that $35 mark here, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be heirloom grade goods that if you take care of it, you can pass it down. You know, on this cast iron, I mean, it takes a special person to jack up some cast iron, and even then it may take us a little bit, but we can get it back.
You can save it.
You can save it. And so, you know, this is an investment, and the guy who owns the company will tell you, say, hey, this is stuff that's going to last. And like for me personally, with a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, this stuff is meant for my kids, grandkids. Long after I'm gone, they're still going to have our stuff. And that's what, you know, with the brownie pan, that's what kind of started it all. So I'm a little bit more sentimental to stuff like this, because you think about like my dad's mother, my grandma Ashley, the wood bowl that's on top of a block that she's got her flour in, her white lily flour, and her sifter. And that's where she sifts her flour before she makes her nest and she makes her biscuits. And her hands come out looking like mine right now when she's done. I come out looking like a flour bomb went off, you know. But the reason I say that is that bowl, I've never seen another one, because I'm 35. It's because it was her great grandma's. And so stuff like that, you can't put a price on it. There's no amount of money that could justify what that thing is worth. And so, you know, in the South, there's a lot of people who have grandmas or great grandma's cast iron or whatever, somebody in the family. That's great. If you don't though, this is your opportunity to make sure that you're going to buy something
and start it.
Start it, because I mean, this is heirloom grade of heirloom grade, and they're super great to work with. Everybody that we've sold to has always been ecstatic when they leave with it. It's not a thin walled cast iron, and so once you get it to that temperature that you need it at, it's very efficient at staying there. And like if you threw some steaks in this 14 to pan syrup before you put it in the oven, it's so beefy that it's going to hit back on that meat. The temperature is not going to drop, so you don't have to leave it on there longer than you should, which then until kind of compromises the quality of the meat, because you're cooking it too long for what you should be doing. And so it is an investment. We are one of 3 people in the state of Alabama who carry Smithy, and we have people drive an hour to come see it in person, which is crazy, but it is pretty neat. So, but yep,
Very cool.
It's worked out well, and we've ordered the biggest orders of a lot of our products this year. COVID has, for me, seemed to make people a lot more intentional on where they spend their money. I know I have been. In April, when state of Alabama was shut down, I ate at a restaurant here in town that I've not ate at before then in my life probably, but I ate there a bunch because I knew somebody that lives here in Cullman owns that restaurant, and I wanted to make sure that they didn't fall by the wayside. And and you saw that here in our small town, and people were spending money with us in crazy amounts, even though my store doors were closed. But we were in here, and we were running stuff out to curbside or doing FaceTime appointments, and walking people through the store and talking with them, and sending them invoices, and they could pay on the internet, and then we'd ship it to them. So we're willing to do that extra couple of steps to make sure our customers get what they need. And even if that happens again before Christmas, I don't really know how I'm going to push out the amount of inventory and sales that we would normally do, but we're going to give it our dang best shot, and make sure people are taken care of and that people have a good holiday.
And so they've got all sorts of other things. So if you are anywhere near northern Alabama, I highly suggest you come and check it out, because, and we're not even going to talk about it today, but y'all, those spoons that I've shared with you and so many of you have ordered, they got more and other things, and you've even got rolling pins now.
Yep. So the rolling pins and our cake stands that are here in the store are hand turned by a gentleman here in Cullman. And so when you come in, we try to specifically point out stuff, like I said before, that's from here, whether it's the coffees that are brewed here, the hand sewn leather purses. Miss Constance bought one here in the past week, and the workmanship on that is guaranteed for life.
I think it's the last purse I'll ever buy.
I mean, and you'll have to do a little bit of conditioning from time to time with leather, but the guy tell you, he's from Birmingham, he said it is guaranteed for life, my workmanship. If anything happens, bring it back to me, I'll get it to him. He fixes it at no cost. But then you also have candles and the spoons. So from the last time she sent y'all that video, I sold quite a bit of spoons, and I shipped them Texas, New York City, all over. Well, I called my guy and I said, hey, I need to pick up some stuff. I'm just gonna buy a little bit. I bought a whole lot more than a little bit. I kind of get carried away because I'm like, ooh, I like that. And then I start looking at my pile, I'm like, oh boy, And so have a good representation of what this gentleman can do. Bought some new pieces, some new stuff, and so there's tons of stuff in here that people touch with their hands, and they do it with their hands, and that's what makes us, I feel, different, is because we strive to find the best that we can possibly find as close to home as possible. So but yeah,
thanks for walking us through.
Anytime. And hopefully we'll get that e-commerce site up here maybe after the first of the year. It's just so crazy, and the amount of legwork that's going to take, but that will be something that is in the works, and it will make it a lot easier for people who see these videos or stumble across us on the web or see us in some of the publications we've been in, that they can hop on and see what all we got. But we really encourage y'all to come down, because we feel like that's what really makes us different from just sitting behind a computer and clicking.
Yeah, you can experience the store.
Yeah. Store's built in 1904, the building we're in, and so we left all the floor with all of its scrapes and scratches and everything, had it sealed, because this was originally a Mercantile store. And so it's pretty cool that one's in here now, and that it's a bunch of goods, dry goods and stuff that people can use at their home and be proud of it. So.
Well, thank you, and I will put a link down below where you can find your website and all of their social media, Instagram, Facebook, all of that, so you can check it out.
That's right. Thank you, Miss Constance. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I hope you enjoyed going on that tour of the Mercantile and just kind of seeing what all they have going on there. And I'm sure you can now see why that is one of my favorite shops in northern Alabama. and there's tons more than we could even share in that video. So check them out, and like Ryan mentioned, you can order things online by phone or through social media, and in the future they will have a website where you can order directly. So that is it. Thanks for coming along and checking out the Mercantile. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I'll talk to y'all next time.